Greetings, everyone. My name is Charles Kovach, the not safe for work presidential candidate campaigning for more direct democracy. And because simply saying, hey, I think we should have more direct democracy over and over and over again gets kind of dull and repetitive and boring, I make videos talking about current events and other things that interest me as a way to try and garner attention to this campaign and this concept. And today, I want to talk not about things that are going on, but I want to talk about a bit about human psychology. And in case you couldn't tell by the title of this video, I am going to talk about something called situational fatigue. And apparently situational fatigue is a phrase that I've coined, so let me preface this once again by saying please don't send me money and please don't suck my dick. So, what is situational fatigue? Situational fatigue is the process, basically it's the process of adapting to your situation. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what it is, how it works, how it's used against you, and how you can use it to empower yourself. So situational fatigue drives the human being towards a new homeostasis. And homeostasis is what your body and your mind considers to be your norm. So things like, so this is a kind of all-encompassing term. It includes a lot of things like Stockholm Syndrome, Lima Syndrome, biases like initial bias and confirmation bias. It's employed by things like psychological conditioning, brainwashing, and the whole, really the whole, like, this is how I was raised thing. We recognize it through things like this is how I was raised, and I'm old and I'm set in my ways. And let's see what else you have. Oh, the devil you know is better than the one you don't, and the whole, oh, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, that kind of stuff. We recognize this, but we don't really name it in a proper light. So, as I said, it's a settling into a situation that you're in. The first thing to remember is that your identity, your idea of self, is not a static thing, no matter how much you would like to believe it is. It's constantly changing. For example, you are not the same person you were when I started this sentence. Why? Well, because your experiences change. Who you are is defined by the things that you've been through. The things that you learn help define the things, define who you are. And you just, for most of you, you just experienced an idea that was such a violation of homeostasis, a violation of what you consider to be normal, that it's probably sticking out in the back of your mind. Let me say that again. You are not the same person you were when I started this sentence. It's because we are always changing that we're always slowly and, well, really very slowly changing our homeostasis, our norm, our sense of self. And the reason why this happens, or the reason that situational fatigue exists, is because when you learn things, when you have to adapt to a situation that you're in, your brain is reshaping itself. Your neurons are rearranging, and this happens no matter how old you are. So if you're 70 years old and on your deathbed and you just learned your doctor's name, well, congratulations, you've learned something and you've changed a little bit. So this is not something that is a standalone. You have things like tactile fatigue. Tactile fatigue is you get so used to wearing your clothes that you feel more uncomfortable not being in clothes than having your clothes on. You're wearing your clothes for so long you don't even feel like they're there anymore. Or olfactory fatigue. Olfactory fatigue is when you're around a smell so long that you just don't notice that it's there anymore. Usually those smells are ones you don't like. So situational fatigue works in the same way. You're just so used to something that it's now a norm for you. So you can understand why this encompasses things like um, Stockholm syndrome and Lehman syndrome and whatnot. Now, even those things change, the real question is for each individual is how much of that change is a violation of your homeostasis. As with the sentence I gave you before, for some people, well, probably for many people, it's probably a large or a huge violation of their homeostasis. Okay, it's so out of what they consider to be normal that it's it's um, it's new and possibly even uncomfortable for them. For others who are, for others, it might be not such a violation of homeostasis. But this whole idea of how far of a violation from a person's homeostasis is the main tool that is used against most of us. This is why when things that are working against us are done, they're usually done in incremental changes. Because if it's a huge change, that everybody's going to get all up in arms and all upset. Why? Because that's how we've evolved over time. But if the changes are very small and incremental, then it's, oh, grumble, grumble, grumble. Now this shit I got to deal with. So a lot of people, when they want change and they want positive change, you'll see many people want that change to be incremental. And any ideas that cause a radical change, they're uncomfortable with. And this is why. It's because it's a further violation of homeostasis. And I always got to put the question to people who only want incremental change in what they can perceive to be a right direction. Well, if you're in a car that's speeding towards a cliff, is it better to step on the brakes or simply just let off the gas and hope that you stop in time? So there's a decision to be made whenever you are faced with change. And this is why they say many people don't like change, except for the ones that do like change, because for some people, their environment is always in a state of flux. It's always changing. So for these people, homeostasis is a perpetual state of change. Just like you have the perpetually offended, because for these people, being offended is their homeostasis. But ultimately, it's causes like this why you get things like the hardest part of a journey being the first step. But the thing is, once you take that first step and you've violated your own homeostasis, your brain is automatically working towards a new one. So that's why it becomes easier once you've taken that first step, or one of the reasons why, to keep going. So this incorporates a lot of things. So let's say you want to do something. You want to change your behavior. You want to do something better, make a change in your life that improves your life. Okay, well, there's all kinds of little things you can do that. And they don't have to be big things. They don't have to be violations of homeostasis. Just in the way that incremental change can be used to fuck us, we can use it to help us as well. So simple little thing of setting a reminder for yourself to do something. Like maybe you want to learn to play an instrument. And, of course, that first step is buying the instrument. But, maybe just learning how to play a couple of notes here and there. Nothing fancy, but over time, maybe you get more and more into it and you wind up spending more time on it. Or maybe there's something you don't like that you do. Or maybe there's something that you wish you did more of. Little things to change your behavior. And so if you start in little incremental steps, you'll find that for most people will find that it's easier to change. Like, say you want to go on a diet. Well, if you just drastically change your diet, you're probably not going to be successful. Why? Because you've made such a huge violation of your homeostasis that your body's probably going to want to work back towards where you were before. But if you make these little incremental changes to your diet, like, oh, well, maybe I'm not going to eat 3 pieces of cheesecake for dessert at dinner time. I'll just do 2 from now on. Stuff like that. These are little changes. And the same thing goes for learning. Now, I've said before that I'm pretty fucking stupid. But I come off as to a lot of people as actually being very intelligent. And the reason for this is because I just never stopped learning. I I spent most of my life, even when not in school, constantly trying to learn something new. But if you're in a position where you think, "Oh, I'm older and so forth, and I can't learn things as well," well, the reason you might not be able to learn things as well is not because you're older; it's because you're out of practice. Age has very little to do with your ability to learn. It's your practice of learning that helps you learn. So even if you start a little day by, or start by learning something little every day, you start to get in the practice of learning. Personally, I carry around a book with me. So whenever I have a free moment, I'm reading from the book and learning things. Right now, I'm going over differential equations. Um, but you always gotta start somewhere, and don't worry about starting small, because you'll find that if it's something you really want to do, you're naturally going to become more and more involved in it. So hopefully you can understand how this is used against you and how you can use it to your advantage. And once again, my name is Charles Kovach. I am campaigning for a more direct democracy, such a radical idea and such a huge violation from our current national homeostasis. But then again, how do you want to not go over that cliff? And if direct democracy is a concept that you're interested in, then I urge you to share the idea, and if you are so inclined, the information about this campaign, and I thank you for your time.